everyone, welcome to Horror and Monster Collectibles, where today we are going to be taking a look at Cool Models Frankenstein Be Born 1/6 scale figure. Here's an up-close shot of how the figure looks in the packaging, and he's packaged very well. There's basically two foam trays, and this stuff's heavy. It's got some weight to it. I'm excited to take it out. Okay, before we start going over the individual pieces, I want to show you some of the paperwork that the figure comes with. Here is an instruction sheet on how to do the harness over the body to the table. And then they also have a instruction sheet on how to assemble the table. And one really cool thing here is it was packaged very well. There's a lot of weight to the parts, but they also even go through the trouble of doing their logo on the desiccant packets, which I think is just a really cool detailed touch there. Something certainly they don't have to do, but I love it that they include it, and it shows you like the thought and care that goes into their product. Okay, for the time being, we are going to set Frank aside and we are going to look at some of the accessories that he comes with. Now, when he comes out of the package, he comes with this installed on him. I say installed, but just up underneath his crotch. And this is to, if you do not want to use the bed, you can stand the figure up and it fits into this base, which you can plug this into any any hole you want on here. And this is the base. It is made of a solid polystone, I would say. It's a very heavy piece. It has a felt underside to it, but it's got substantial weight to it. It feels like a polystone, but although I'm not really sure. But the paint detail on here is pretty incredible. And this serves as a stand for Frank or as a setup for the table. Now let's go ahead and look at the sides of the table. And as you can see, it is very well executed and painted. Again, this piece has a lot of weight to it. I keep on wanting to say polystone, but hell, I almost think it's like metal. I mean, it's got a lot of weight to it, guys. And the fact that the cool thing is, I don't know if I can get a close-up of this or not, but look at that. Like, they either faked a weld line on here, or it's actually a weld line. I'm not really sure. That's pretty incredible, though. I love the detail work on there. And then also the weathering and rust on the weld line, and just the weathering and rust on the piece in general is pretty awesome. This is also solid. It feels like it's metal. So we have two of these. We have this, and then we have another identical one that's weathered just a little bit, just slightly different to give it some variance. But overall, killer pieces. And these weld lines that they've got going on in here, guys, is pretty. I mean, look at that detail on there. It's insane. Okay, now for the tabletop. It comes in two halves. There's a peg that's inserted into this to complete the other half of the table. Let's go ahead and look at the top of this side. And again, just the detail and weathering is incredible. This again has a lot of weight to it. And then the faux weld lines on here is just detail that I'm tripping out about. I really like. These are real metal chains. And even on the underside of here, they went to the trouble of detailing it and adding ripped and torn, weathered fabric. And then again, like even weld lines on here on the underside. Very cool. I'm very impressed by this piece. I will be buying more Cool Models stuff. And here is the other half of the table. More of the same, but we will get this guy assembled here and move on to all the other stuff that it comes with. Here is a shot of the top of the table. Again, the weathering and detail, I know I keep on saying it, but it feels insane. And this is actually, feels like real metal here. I'll flip it around. The one thing I noticed though, that On here, there doesn't seem to be a magnet feature to fit this onto the top of the table. It feels like it just kind of rests there. I would have preferred them to have like some kind of magnetic feature to keep this piece from just kind of like falling off, I guess. But it's probably fine on its own, but it would have been nice to have a magnet. And finally, the table comes with some of these plastic hoses that attach to the bottom of the table. And we'll get these installed and turn the table around so you can take a look at it completed. All right, let's look at old Frankenstein himself. Now, this isn't the traditional Frankenstein. He is stylized quite a bit, but still very cool. So let's go ahead and take a close shot of the face sculpt that comes with the figure. Now, there is an alternate head sculpt, and we'll be taking a look at here in a second, but go ahead and flip them around. Lots of good detailing on here. And of course, lots of movement. And just the paint app is really, really well done. Now, the body has a lot of padding on there. And it's got really good weathering as well. It's got like a spandex material for suspenders. And we'll cover that real quick. Now, shoulder joint, there's lots of movement here. And there's a double elbow. And here's where things get kind of a little different. The forearm is obviously sculpted. The hand is a magnet. So there's no movement like this. You just have rotation. But it still offers some good posability. It's just an odd choice. Another thing is too, is with this chain here, that it gets stuck to the magnet, which can kind of be a pain in the butt when you're swapping out hands. We'll go ahead and look at the other arm, the sculpt on that. Again, just very well done. But you can see how the chain, the magnet just kind of like pulls the chain to the hand, which I kind of wish they'd come up with something different for that. There's plenty of torso movement, even with the padding. And the padding continues on down to the knees, but then after the knees, there's not much padding here. It kind of disappears, which is odd. There is a double jointed knee. And then on this side, it has this brace, knee brace, which I feel might be on wrong or something, because it doesn't really allow for a whole lot of movement. And then, let's see, down here, again, more stellar weathering and sculpted feet. We'll go ahead and pull this off so we can kind of take a close look at the shoe. But lots of posability and movement here too. We have rotation and you can move it from side to side. So we've got a good pivot there too. So there's old Frank. And this is more of his angry face. It's cute, but it's still angry. And it's flat application with gloss on the eyes and the mouth. And gloss over the brains. The difference on the back of here is that the other one, he had his brain still encased in the steel. And here it is exposed. Taking a look at the alternate hands. You have an open hand for both arms and a closed fist for both arms. And there's the magnet feature on here. But again, the paint app is extremely well done. Go through here. And just the detailing on the nails. They put a lot of time and love into this, and I appreciate that. I'm nitpicking on things, but it's still very, 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 very well done. Moving on to the shackle system that goes on the bed to hold him down. This is all made of a metal, and then obviously metal chains too. I'll kind of flip around the back side for you. but very well done. And on the bottom here, we have a, I don't know what that is exactly. The thing about it is though, is that they don't complete the set for you. So they include these extra links on here that you put pins through, and much like a watch. I'll go ahead and put this down so you can kind of see. So they have pins that go through here, and they ask you to go ahead and attach that to that main part. The thing about it is that it's not easy to do. Over here, fitting this in here, it doesn't really want to fit. It's going to actually require some filing down to get that to go in there. It's not wanting to key into the right place and line up enough so I can get the pin hole lined up in there. Now it comes with several pins, and this is what the pins look like, if I can get one. And there is a long pin and a short pin, and on the instructions it tells you which one to use where. I just wish that this was already together. I'm not sure why they didn't go ahead and assemble it. And finally, here is a sheet, which again is weathered nicely. It's got some nice rips and tears in there, and it's got a wire frame to it so you can bend it and shape it the way you want. But just along these two outside edges. But still very cool. All right, I'm going to do some filing work to get his shackles together, and we are going to come back. Take a small break and come back. Short break for you guys though. Okay, so it took a little bit of filing, but I got the pieces to fit together, and I've got the his restraints mounted to the table. And it looks really good. I wish that they had just included this, like these, at least part of it already on there, but they didn't. So anyway, it looks good when it's all said and done. This table is big too. I don't think we've taken a measurement yet though, but it's 13 inches long and 7 inches wide. And at the bottom of the table is 5.5 inches. So it's pretty large. Mr. Frank over here, he is 12.25 inches tall. Okay, so as you can see, I got him set up in a quick pose. I decided to undo some of the restraints and make it look like he was just born and he just came alive, and I'm pretty happy with it. There's so much stuff to pose on him though. There's so many ways you can display him. I'm not really sure exactly what I'm gonna stick with, but right now I'm digging this. So I'll leave you with some up-close shots of this setup, and feel free to leave any comments or questions. I'll be happy to answer them, and feel free to like and subscribe, and click the bell for notifications for new videos. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.